Welcome back to the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys joining us here on a Friday night anyway. Hope you guys had a great work week and ready to spend time with your family, go out and relax, enjoy things, do whatever you want to do. But hope you guys had a good one. There's a lot of trade news that's gone down over the week anyway, and we're going to see if we can dig into some of that with you guys today. Some of the headlines have already happened anyway. Andrew Benintendi has been traded to the New York Yankees. I did not see that one coming. There's a lot of rumors about it, maybe about a month ago anyway, that was a real possibility. I didn't really see the efficacy of that after news came out that he was unvaccinated. New York seemed to cool their pursuit of him because, as you know, the Yankees share the division with the Toronto Blue Jays. There's still more games to be played against them. We'll see what ends up happening. As far as his vaccination status, he says upon his arrival in New York that he still hasn't changed his mind yet as to whether or not to get vaccinated or not. But he's not opposed to it at some point. He, in order to enter in order to enter Canada, if you're a baseball player or anybody essentially, you have to have 3 weeks of full vaccination, etc. I'm not sure if you need the booster or not, but the fact remains is that Andrew Benintendi has not decided to get that done, and so the Yankees to go out and finally make the move for him, even though they gave up 3 lower level arms, is a little bit surprising. The Yankees gave up those 3 lower level arms in addition to the trade that they made last year to acquire another outfielder in Joey Gallo. His name is on the trade block. He is almost certainly going to be gone at this trade deadline season. I'm very curious to see which team is going to pony up for him, if there's going to be a team at this point. He's hitting like 161 for the Yankees this year, has like a 40% strikeout rate, just looks completely overmatched. Right now, he looks like a guy who's a 4A player, really good for AAA, but can't make it in the major leagues. That's really disappointing for a player of his caliber, where his career was really slated to be going. Just everything that could go wrong with New York has gone wrong in New York for Joey Gallo. Now, of course, getting back to somewhere familiar for him, maybe going back to Texas, since I don't think they're going to be contending for a playoff spot this year, barring some major run here like the Mariners have done over the past couple of weeks, or past month anyway. I don't really see that kind of thing happening. So maybe a team that can give him a lot of at bats in a corner outfield spot, just let him be himself, relax in a non-competitive situation as far as non-contending competition anyway, might take a lot of that pressure off of him and allow that strikeout rate to kind of come back down to that 30% range where his power really plays up even at that 30% strikeout rate. But let's move on to some other high-profile names out there. Most notably, Juan Soto. Now, Jeff Passan, appearing on the Dan Patrick Show this morning, said that Juan Soto's trade chances have risen to about 80% before the deadline. In fact, I believe that's going to be true. As much activity or as much noise as we're hearing around Juan Soto, you can see how quickly pieces are coming together. The 4 teams that Passan believes are going to be in the mix right now: St. Louis Cardinals, they believe, are in the lead, followed by the San Diego Padres, the LA Dodgers, and the Seattle Mariners. Now, of course, Juan Soto is only 23 years old. A bunch of other teams could still remain on the periphery, could step up into that sweepstakes at any moment and really make a great offer. But as it stands right now, I really don't see that happening from outside of that 4 teams right there. So let's look at those 4 teams. The St. Louis Cardinals have always had a plethora of good young players, but never had that number one gem type of piece to really take them over the top. They've made some acquisitions in recent years anyway. Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt. Maybe they're willing to push their chips to the center in a year they think they have a real opportunity to win. That could be something. Of course, Juan Soto's only 23. Maybe they believe that their title window with Juan Soto would be much bigger with having an Arenado and Soto combination going forward. But I'm curious as to what pieces they're really going to give away for a Juan Soto type player. That's not really the MO of the Cardinals organization, to really go for that type of move, really sell out their prospect pool, that kind of thing, in order to gain a player like that. But that'd be a great move, kind of modern day baseball for the Cardinals. Maybe they're going to change the way they do business going forward. But for a player like Juan Soto, hey, he's that good of a player. Maybe it's worth doing something like that. The other teams, of course, in the mix, the San Diego Padres. Mentioned them, of course, before on our other live streams. C.J. Abrams would probably be the main piece going back, along with Mackenzie Gore, Robert Hassel, Merrill, and Wood, a couple other prospects. I believe the Nationals are going to want to take some of their major league talent as well if they can. Maybe a Kim, get somebody on the major league level that can maybe they can get some lightning in a bottle type player, maybe a Trent Grisham. He doesn't really move the needle for me, but for some out there, he still does. He's hitting like 190 this year. Just hasn't played very well. Just hadn't played very well this year at all. Last year he was much better, so maybe the Nationals think they could reclaim him there. But as far as those are probably the top two teams on his market. The other team to kind of keep on the periphery is the LA Dodgers. You can never really take them out just because of their wherewithal to make big trades and still hold on to their top prospects. Last year, they were willing to trade their top prospects in a trade for Trey Turner and Josiah Gray that they sent the other way in order to get Max Scherzer and Trey Turner anyway going back to LA, and Kiba Ruiz going the other way. Sorry. But that they have a lot of history between the two organizations as well. So getting a deal like that done between those two would be a lot quicker and easier for them to accomplish, as they're very familiar with each other's farm systems. Looking at the Seattle Mariners, they've pushed a lot of chips to the center already for outfield talent. They have Julio Rodriguez out there. They've got 5 or 6 outfielders that they could probably ship off in smaller deals to probably consolidate some of that talent. Welcome in, Zach. So maybe a player like Juan Soto to help consolidate that talent around a Julio Rodriguez and Juan Soto stack anyway would be very appealing to the Mariners. They have Jesse Winker as well out there, so maybe they move off of Kelenic. Maybe they move off of Kyle Lewis. Maybe they move off of Abraham Toro. They have a lot of pieces that they can move. White Sox losing to the A's. Yeah. Let me see what the score is anyway. I haven't been paying too much attention. Been crazy busy with work anyway. Four to 1. It's only the 6th. Still early, and you're at home, so don't worry too much anyway. But those are kind of your 4 teams in the mix anyway for Juan Soto. All right. The other team that I want to see, or the other player that we all have been kind of paying attention to, is Shohei Ohtani. Last night, after his probable last start with the Angels, if he is traded by the deadline anyway, he said after the game that for now, he's with the LA Angels. Apparently, the Angels haven't given him the all clear that he's going to be around after the trade deadline. That's news in and of itself, just because we've seen a lot of news trickle out day by day by day with Shohei Ohtani. A week ago, they were like, oh, no, there's not even a chance we'll trade Shohei Ohtani. We're not talking to any teams. We're not listening to any offers. A day later, literally a day later, news comes out that they're actually listening to other teams as far as their offers that they're making for Shohei Ohtani. They're not responding. They were just listening. The day after that, an article comes out that they're actually talking back with the team. Does Ramon Laureano get traded? I believe so. There's enough interest in him, and with a PED suspension, I don't think the A's want to kind of keep him around. I think it was PED suspension where he was kept. I think it was 30-day suspension, something anyway. But the San Francisco Giants have interest in him. He's probably going to go to San Francisco if I had to bet on a team anyway as to where he goes. They're going to trade away pretty much anybody with any value on that A's roster. White Sox need to be sellers. I don't know. I was kind of surprised the Red Sox kind of decided to kick it in. It seems like they're willing to talk about most of the other players on the roster besides Andrew Bogarts. Abreu and Hicks for Ohtani. That's never happening. Do the Braves have interest in Laureano? That would make sense. They lost Laureano, or they lost Adam Duvall. Plus, putting him in center would allow Acuna to play off in right or left. That would be a very good move for them. But Laureano is going to be moved. The Braves don't really have the prospect pool that they had back in the day, though. So everybody wants to pair themselves with the Braves because they still think they have a great farm system. That farm system is almost completely gutted at this point. So those of you who are hoping to get the top prospect from the Atlanta Braves, you're going to be pulling from the very top of that prospect system because that prospect system has been completely depleted. The A's already pulled most of the top prospects out of there with that trade for Matt Olson. The rest of them have already aged up to the major league level. The White Sox will get Jose Quintana. If I had to pick a team, I'd say just because of how familiar they are with him and where they are and how much they need inning eaters, I believe he could be of interest to them. There was one of the baseball reporters, I want to say Joel Sherman, sent out a tweet that the White Sox were not shopping Lucas Giolito and Lance Lynn, what a shock. Neither one of them would have great trade value right now anyway. Plus, I don't think the White Sox would want to move either one of them. I think they've got too much value for that team going forward. And Orioles do have one of the best farm systems in all of baseball. I don't know about the best, but they're up there. But as I was saying about Shohei Ohtani, they set a price for him at 4 established four of the 4 top prospects in your system. And apparently they released to Ken Rosenthal that they want to establish major league talent in addition to those top 4 players. So kind of keep that in mind anyway when you're debating whether or not your team should go after Shohei Ohtani. He's 28, 29 years old anyway. He'll hit free agency around 31. So kind of keep that in mind. Juan Soto's only 23. Who do I think the Braves will trade for? They'll probably get an outfielder and maybe a innings eater arm type player. So maybe a guy like Laureano makes sense. There's a lot of other players. Think of the Tyler Naquin trade that the Mets just made today or yesterday. I can't remember which anyway. But that's kind of the level of trade I expect them to make for the outfield. Last year, they made 3 lower-level deals to kind of supplement that outfield lineup. With Adam Duvall's injury, maybe they do something similarly. But as far as rotation, don't expect them to be in on Luis Castillo. They don't have the prospect depth to be able to make that type of a move. Think more of along the lines of a Jose Quintana type trade. Maybe you get the number 3, 4 starter on a bad team to kind of eat some innings, get you 5 good innings, and that way you don't burn your bullpen on that 5th day. That's the type of trade they're going to make. Tyler Mahle, I'm pretty sure he's going to be dealt just because he's never going to have as good a trade value as he does right now. He was my favorite pick to go to the Rangers when the season began, just because he fits their timeline. He would probably be able to get an extension with him if you're the Rangers front office. Right now, the Rangers aren't really contending, but they are looking for ways to improve that roster going forward. Maybe they're still in the mix for him, but teams that need starting pitching, I think, are going to outbid the Rangers for him. So teams like the St. Louis Cardinals that need starting pitching, teams like the New York Yankees, I think, are going to need some innings out of that rotation going forward. They have a 4.34 ERA since I want to say about middle of June anyway for the Yankees. They aren't necessarily the world beaters we thought they were at the beginning of the season after how good a record they got out to. They're kind of coming back down to earth. That's kind of what I told you at the beginning of the season would happen, is that they don't have enough starting pitching. Maybe they go out and make a move for a guy like Luis Castillo. If they can't make that type of a move, if they're not willing to move off of Volpe or Peraza, players like that, maybe they go with a lesser player and save on their prospects. That seems to be what they did with Andrew Benintendi, saved on their prospect pool by allowing their lower level players to be traded away. Jerry Reinsdorf and Tony La Russa actually destroyed a promising White Sox core. It's incredible. Yes, it is. Eloy Jimenez, though, has injury issues. Robert as well has injury issues, so don't really blame too much on them. I think the team would look so much better if both of those guys were healthy all year round. And, of course, their pitching just hasn't been very good. It's been injured a little bit as well this year. Expect the White Sox to play much better in the second half. And, yes, I know they're losing 5-1 now after that homer. Still think they're going to end up taking it, though. What about Ian Happ? Wilson Contreras, I'm pretty sure, is gone, the catcher anyway. As far as Ian Happ, that could be a move that could be a player that the Braves go for. Somebody like that would fill into their outfield very nicely for them. So maybe that would be the type of move the Braves would make. Other teams that are still in playoff contention, you need to keep an eye on as well. I'm curious to see which teams are going to go after J.D. Martinez anyway of the Red Sox. I did not expect the Red Sox to sell here at the deadline. I'm wondering if that 28-5 loss to Toronto. I originally thought it was just media hype that they were scared now that they were not real contenders. I know they would have issues with their pitching rotation. They have all year. And then the line drive Chris Sale took off of his elbow. You wonder about what they're going to do at the deadline. Do they stand pat, or do they trade off one or two of their players? Making a move of J.D. Martinez saves a lot of salary for them going forward. That could make a lot of sense. Apparently, the Cubs are actually interested in him. But there's rumors as well that the Mets could have interest. So kind of keep your eyes out for them. A little bit surprising, though, that the Cubs would be willing to take on money when they weren't willing to pay their core when they had Chris Bryant and Kyle Schwarber and that group. The one move I did that I'm a little bit surprised as well by is the Houston Astros, that how interested they are in Josh Bell. This is more of a function of how Yuli Gurriel has played so far this year. I thought Gurriel would get it out of it before the trade deadline. He just hasn't yet. And as he continues to slide, the more and more likely I think a Josh Bell to Houston makes sense. It's starting to look a lot more likely that they're going to have the pieces that the Nationals are willing to trade him for, essentially. The Mets have had interest in him, as well as the Brewers, but I don't see either one of those teams being willing to part with the players that maybe the Houston Astros are in order to secure that World Series title this year. Brewers, of course, have a great starting staff. They still need some starters at the back end of that rotation just to kind of fill it out the rest of the way. They could use some offense pretty much a little bit here and there. They don't really need it at one specific position, so I don't see them making a big investment in a guy like Josh Bell. But thank you guys for joining us again. Really appreciate you guys. A lot of baseball tonight. Martin Perez is on the mound for the Texas Rangers anyway. This could be his final start. He is on the trade block as well. Anybody who needs starting pitching is looking everywhere for it right now. The Miami Marlins have pretty much everybody on their roster except for Sandy Alcantara on the trade block. Not really surprising because the Marlins, they haven't been good for a number of years. They've been kind of teetering around that, flirting with 500 team the last couple of years, though. They have Jazz Chisholm, but he's not off the trade block. So if you're willing to give a king's ransom for him, you could get a player like Jazz Chisholm. If you're looking for young, controllable players, if you're willing to give up the top prospects to get it done, give the Miami Marlins a call. The Detroit Tigers are also in that same boat. I believe that Javi Baez contract just looks worse and worse by the day, and the front office is starting to realize that. And so they're willing to trade just about everybody right now. They did not even leave out Riley Green's name when they said we're willing to trade everybody. So that's a little bit surprising. If you're willing to make the offer to get a player of that caliber, you're going to have to pay through the nose for it because Riley Green is going to be a fantastic player. Do I expect him to be moved? Absolutely not. But players more like Tarek Skubal, that could be somebody that other teams have interest in. He's only been a starter for about 2.5 years in the majors anyway. He's at a 3.88 ERA, I believe. And so when you can get a young, controllable starting pitcher at 23 years old, future looks very bright whenever you get somebody like that. He really hasn't demonstrated it over a consistent period of time, though. That's my only worry. If he goes somewhere into a pennant chase, is he really willing to live up to that level of expectation? That's the worry you have if you trade for a guy like Skubal. Players like Martin Perez, who've been a career journeyman, that kind of player, and now they have a career year right now, those players, at least you have a longer track record of what to expect from them. You're not expecting an implosion. In fact, Martin Perez's career so far has been about a 4 ERA pitcher, 4.3. This year he's around a 2.7, and his peripheral numbers look very good. It's not a fluke, so maybe he's finally learned how to pitch. The Rangers have had a lot of success over the past 5 years getting the best out of players on short-term deals. Think back to Mike Minor, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, and now Martin Perez. All three of those players were able to be traded away by the Rangers. They could have gotten more for Mike Minor if they traded him a year before, but by their player development, they found something, they saw something in that free agent, and were able to bring it out of him. They've changed that organization over a little bit. Chris Young is now the GM, so maybe there's a new secret sauce anyway cooking in Texas. But they're going to have to pay through the nose to get Martin Perez. He's been very good for the Rangers. They've talked about an extension. He just got engaged as well. He was an all-star for the Rangers. Their representative, along with Corey Seager, at the All-Star game. The Rangers are starved for starting pitching right now. The only good starters they have are John Gray and Martin Perez. So if you're willing to to pay the piper to get Martin Perez on an expiring deal, go for it. Challenge right now in the Rangers game anyway. Just kind of watching some baseball while we go through the trade or options at the trade deadline anyway. But there's a lot of teams out there willing to make moves. Just a matter of, are the teams willing, or are there enough sellers to give the contenders enough pieces to get it done? Shane Bieber of the Cleveland Guardians, along with Zach Plesac, apparently are on the market as well. So with starting pitching market being very depleted right now, the Guardians are looking to capitalize on that starting pitching market. Shane Bieber, a Cy Young candidate, pretty much every year when he's not injured. could have a lot of value on the trade market. Zach Plesac, a little bit less so, but he's a very effective innings eater type of starter. So somebody that you plug in at that number 3 spot in your pitching rotation going forward would be a very nice get as you get ready for the postseason. Think of teams like the Toronto Blue Jays who've struggled with their pitching staff all year long. Jose Barrios, before the All-Star break, had tied the American League lead with home runs given up. However, his strikeouts were still great. Alex Manoah, the starting pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, the All-Star representative for them, just took a line drive off of his pitching elbow today. We're still waiting back to hear what kind of results the medicals have on him, but that could be a big hole for the Toronto Blue Jays as they get ready for a run here at the postseason. They've been one of the best teams, if not the best team, since the All-Star break. So it's really really surprising anyway to see that type of injury happen right now. They're announcing it as an right elbow contusion, according to Morosi. He underwent X-rays, but they came back negative. So maybe they just escaped there by the skin of their chinny chin chin. But we'll see how they do anyway. They could be in the market for a player like Zach Plesac, somebody who could eat some innings for them, go north of the border. And there's a lot of connections between the Guardians organization and the Toronto Blue Jays. So you could see some chemistry develop between the two teams, be able to scout their farm system since they're very familiar with one another, and be able to get something done. Right around this time of year, you really want to focus on teams that you're familiar with. You see a lot of scouts, for instance, at the Rangers game tonight against the LA Angels. You'd expect not really a lot of scouts there just because it's the LA Angels. They're not a great team. They've been the worst team in baseball since May 25th. But as it stands right now, Martin Perez is on the hill. He's one of the top pitching options out there, along with Shohei Ohtani, Luis Castillo, Frankie Montas, Shane Bieber, Zach Plesac, those type of players. But he's going to be a rental option. He's only on a 1-year, $4 million deal, so he doesn't really affect your budget. If you're a team that's cash-strapped, maybe you go after a guy like Martin Perez as opposed to a guy like Noah Syndergaard for the LA Angels. He's on a 1-year, $20 million for them and hasn't had as good a year for the Angels as Martin Perez has for the Rangers. As we mentioned earlier, anyway, the Wilson Contreras, the catcher for the Cubs, he is very likely to be moved. There's a number of teams out there that could use some catching help. The Tampa Bay Rays are chief among them after losing Mike Zunino for the year. Of course, Sean Murphy, anyway, of the Oakland A's is also on the market, but maybe more of an offensive upgrade. Maybe a team like the Mets could look like to Contreras as well. The San Diego Padres are said to be interested in with Wilson Contreras as well. But there are teams that are questioning whether or not he's a good catcher, whether or not he can work with a young pitching staff or work with their pitchers that they already have on that roster. So kind of keep your eyes open for what teams are interested in him and where they're going to deploy him. The Mets seem to be willing to make pretty much any deal to improve their roster. They made a trade for a bullpen arm and a fourth outfielder after they already had that speed guy Jankowski as that fourth outfielder. A little bit surprising they made the move for Naquin, but still making moves to try to improve that roster, give themselves further depth, and that move kind of illustrated that. The move for a guy like Wilson Contreras would help them behind the plate. They also are looking to improve that right-handed complement to that designated hitter spot. They're expecting Naquin to split a little bit more time in the outfield with Mark Canha, as he's fallen on some tough times in the lineup as well. So maybe you see a guy like Trey Mancini is sent there. There's been heavy rumors between the Mets and Orioles over the past 2 weeks, and they're still coming out pretty much every single day that Trey Mancini expects to be traded by the deadline, and the Mets are clearly the most sought-after team for him. I'll put it that way. They're scouting him the hardest, according to almost every single report that I read. News out of the San Diego Padres, it's close to an agreement with Joe Musgrove on a 5-year, $100 million deal. Musgrove has been fantastic for them this year. Starting pitching pretty much across the board for the Padres has been fantastic this year. They had a lot of they didn't get quite what they were hoping for out of the Blake Snell deal, but they have a number of different starting pitching options to rely upon nowadays, and Joe Musgrove is probably the best one of the bunch right now. So it's good for them to kind of lock him up before they get to free agency. The Yankees are indeed after Luis Castillo. He's the first choice among the starting pitchers on the market right now. Second would be Frankie Montas. We heard about that connection before the season began on both of those players. Frankie Montas actually had a deal in place to go. I can't remember if it was the White Sox or Mets anyway, but he had a deal to go one of those two places, and it just didn't materialize. It sounded like there were some medical issues at the time. But the Yankees are indeed after a starting pitcher. Castillo and Montas are 1 and 2. The third choice for them is Noah Syndergaard. A little bit surprising to see them go after Noah Syndergaard because of his experience in New York. Things just didn't work out, but maybe they just were hoping to catch lightning in a bottle with a guy like Thor. He's already used to the New York market, so they wouldn't have to get adapted to it. Luis Castillo and Frankie Montas would both have to get adjusted to playing in New York, whereas Noah Syndergaard would not. Sounds like the Red Sox are indeed talking about JD Martinez with the Mets, along with Christian Vazquez. That's a little bit surprising. So maybe there's a little bit more catching on the market than we originally thought. Christian Vazquez is having a career year this year with the Boston Red Sox. JD Martinez, of course, the designated hitter. Mets are willing to pay pretty much any price right now. They don't really care about price tag, so maybe they're able to get those two players at a discount if they're willing to eat those contracts. News on Juan Soto. Apparently, the Washington Nationals are preparing an offer to him to see if he'll accept an extension with the team. The writing on the wall is there now, though. I don't expect him to accept the offer. The offer that he had previously with the Nationals was a $29 million average annual value over 15 years. Maybe they'll bump that up to 32, but that would be a substantial increase in those negotiations. But it's not going to be anywhere close to get that type of deal done. It sounds like they're just trying to make a last-ditch effort for their fan base to say, hey, we tried to save or to keep him here, but we're not going to be able to keep him. They originally sounded like they were wanting to get off the Patrick Corbin deal in a Juan Soto trade. They have since said that they're not going to dilute the return for Juan Soto by attaching bad money to him. So it sounds like Patrick Corbin is going to stay with the Washington Nationals, at least for now. Maybe they trade him off to a team that needs starting pitching. He's not been very good this year, so don't expect the return to be very much. And his salary is absolutely exorbitant. He's getting like $30 million, not just this year, not just next, but the following as well. So maybe they're eat like $20 million of that deal, and then he's a $10 million pitcher over the next 3 years. That might be a lot more appealing to other teams. So kind of keep your eyes peeled with the Washington Nationals. They have a lot of pieces to move. Nelson Cruz is there, of course. He surprisingly signed a 2-year deal with the Washington Nationals in the offseason. Josh Bell is going to be the first player to go from the Nationals, though. They want to move him first. That way they can focus on Soto and then any other piece on their roster. Sounds like JD Martinez, Red Sox reporters are now expecting him to possibly be moved. The Mets, the most likely, because of their willingness to eat salary. Surprising. Giants placed Jock Peterson on the injured list today. Jeremy, you were asking about the Ramon Laureano earlier. That might actually spur them to make that type of move a little bit quicker, maybe willing to part with a little bit better prospect in order to get something like that done. So the Giants, I expect to acquire an outfielder before the Tuesday deadline. That's going to be at 5 o'clock Eastern on August 2nd. So keep your eyes peeled around trade deadline. More articles about the Astros eyeing Josh Bell. Xander Bogaerts, anyway, says that he was told by the team that he would not be traded. So maybe, just maybe, they're going to invest in him in the offseason. He'll be one of the top free agent shortstops out there, along with Carlos Correa, Trey Turner, a number of other players as well, Dansby Swanson. Red Sox, though, did sign Jose Peraza, a little bit eye-popping for them because he is a shortstop, second baseman type player. Maybe if they do get a great offer for Xander Bogaerts, they go against their word and just trade him anyway. Wouldn't be the first time they've done something like that. Ken Rosenthal reports that the Red Sox have interest in Dom Smith. At least they have in the past. Seems like the Mets are going to choose between a Contreras and Robertson stack versus a Martinez and Vazquez stack anyway in a trade. Mets, of course, need to add to that bullpen. They added a little bit in that trade with the Reds. Making the move with the Cubs for Robertson and Contreras would help them out on that back end. They have Ottavino back there, but of course, one of the best closers, if not the best closer in all of baseball right now, is Edwin Diaz, who has over a 50% strikeout rate. That's ludicrous, by the way. If you haven't been paying attention to the Mets, that's the biggest reason why they're winning. They're locking down games in that ninth inning. It's a great bullpen. As far as at the very back, they need to add a little bit in front of him because that sixth, seventh, eighth inning can be a little bit of a mystery at times. You don't really want that when you're getting down to the postseason. But it sounds like maybe if they're willing to eat all of that J.D. Martinez deal, send away Dom Smith, you'd have to trade somebody off that Major League roster to make room for him on the roster anyway. But it sounds like they may go with that J.D. Martinez and Vasquez stack if the price for Contreras gets too steep. That reliever that I told you about was Philip Deal that they acquired from Cincinnati. The Mets traded away Hector Rodriguez and Jose Acuna in that deal for Naquin and Deal. The LA Angels have actually taken Noah Syndergaard out of the starting rotation, at least for now, until after the deadline. They don't want him getting injured, of course, because he has tons of injury issues in his past. You really don't want to worry about that going forward, especially if you're trying to move him. Willens Astudillo was designated for assignment by the Marlins. Trevor Rogers, a name that was mentioned around the trade deadline this year, was placed on the injured list as well. So that probably takes him out of talks anyway. Padres apparently today have been stepping up their talks for Juan Soto. We already mentioned a little bit about what that asking price would be. Kind of running through all the news from today anyway. Jankowski was designated for assignment after the trade for Naquin. Luis Castillo apparently is gaining a lot of traction on the trade market, as you might expect. In my opinion, he's probably the best starting pitcher on the market outside of Shohei Ohtani, if Shohei Ohtani isn't moved at this deadline. Luis Castillo's market, of course, is going to be pretty much any team in need of starting pitching. Teams like the Yankees and Blue Jays could really bid up that price. Teams as well that include the St. Louis Cardinals have been linked to him in the past. The Mets have pretty much had their name in every single pie out there, so I wouldn't expect them to go after Luis Castillo. I think the Yankees and Blue Jays would both be willing to pay more. But to me, the Yankees are probably the favorite to end up getting him. I think they'll end up trading one of Peraza or Volpe to get him. The Rockies are looking to move reliever Daniel Bard at the deadline. The best left-handed bullpen arm out there, Matt Moore, got his second save of the year this year for the Texas Rangers. He has a 1.7 ERA, I believe, right now. He's really rebounded his career nicely. He's a really good, dynamic, multi-inning reliever out of that Ranger bullpen. There isn't much left-handed relief out there on the market right now, and the Yankees just lost Michael King. Maybe they go after a guy like Matt Moore. The Yanks in their starting pitching pursuit have looked into Pablo Lopez of the Marlins. Looks like that might be most of the news for today. Sounds like the Yankees are shopping Joey Gallo hard, but haven't been able to even get a real offer for him at all. According to John Heyman, Yankees are shopping Gallo, but so far having trouble finding anyone willing to offer the type of prospect they seek. Padres and Rangers like him, but both are wrapped up in the Soto talks at the moment. A little bit surprising to see the Rangers in on those talks, but he is so young that they do need corner outfield help. even with Adolis Garcia there in right. He is not Juan Soto. Let's be clear about that. Juan Soto is a left fielder. They have played a number of different players over there, but haven't found anybody to really lock up that job long term. Leody Taveras has kind of taken over in center for them. He's played very well. But as it stands right now, Joey Gallo is on the trade market, and I don't think he's going to get moved. I think he's more than likely is going to get designated for assignment after the trade deadline passes, and maybe he gets scooped up on the cheap by a team like Pittsburgh or the Brewers, who need a power bat every now and again, or the Reds, who just traded away Naquin, are going to have at bats available in their outfield, or maybe he does end up all the way back in Texas, where his career began. Apparently, the Mariners are heavily focused on a number of different trade targets. They are looking at Luis Castillo. That's another team in the Luis Castillo market. You asked earlier, Jeremy, about the Tyler Mahle starting pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. Apparently, the Mariners are involved in those talks. The Minnesota Twins are involved in the Mahle talks as well. But both of those teams are also eyeing Mahle and Lopez as very similar starting pitchers. You asked earlier about Ramon Laureano. The Brewers have also talked about Ramon Laureano recently as well. That pretty much seems to wrap it up for today as far as the rumors out there. In the bottom of the third, the Rangers are on tied at 0-0. Martin Perez has thrown 25 pitches so far and has played very well today. Just checking on the box score anyway. Has lowered that ERA down to 2.54. Had a couple of rough outings before the All-Star break, and now seems to have settled things down. Still has yet to give up a hit against a very poor LA Angels lineup. They do not have Mike Trout in the lineup, of course, due to injury. He's now through 2 2/3. Checking in on some other scores from around the league. The Padres are on top of the Twins, 3-0 in the top of the third. The Giants and Cubs just got started in the bottom of the first, tied 0-0. Dodgers on top of the Rockies, 5-2 in Colorado. That was a nice catch by Leody Taveras, kind of a sliding catch, keeping the no-hitter in play for the Rangers. Oakland still on top of the White Sox, 5-1. Stros on top of the Mariners, 6-0. Brewers 3-1 over the Red Sox right now in the top of the ninth. Tigers right now on top of the Blue Jays, 4-2. That was the game where Manoah got injured earlier today. Yankees right now are winning against the Kansas City Royals. That's kind of the Andrew Benintendi series. Just checking in on that game, seeing if they did play Benintendi. They did. He was playing in left field. He's 1 for 3. I think he had a home run in the game. Let me see. Nope, he did not. But he did reach and he did score, drove in a run. Has not struck out. That's the key for the Yankees. They wanted somebody who's more of a contact hitter. Not striking out is part of that. But they lead 7-5 in the bottom of the eighth. They've taken the lead anyway against Kansas City in the bottom of the eighth. Scored 4 runs here. The Pirates and Phillies are in the 10th inning, tied at 2. And games that have already completed today, the Braves beat the Diamondbacks 5-2. Guardians on top of the Rays 4-1. Cardinals on top of the Nats 6-2. Mets beat the Marlins 6-4. And the Orioles beat the Reds 6-2. So that's kind of your out-of-town scoreboard. What do you guys think? Where would you like to see Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani, Mahle, Castillos, Montas? Where would you like to see any of these players go? I know a lot of you guys are out there. You guys tell me your favorite trade. Perez threw 3 anyway. Bear with me while I open up my inbox anyway. I know a lot of you guys did actually submit a few of them direct messenger and through Twitter anyway to me. So I appreciate it. If I can get the dang page to load. 4th inning now. Still nothing. Rangers and Angels. Oh, we do have some news, breaking news from Jeff Passan. The Mariners are finalizing a deal for Luis Castillo. Wow. That's surprising. I thought the Yankees would finally pony up, but apparently the Mariners are going in on this one. Let me flip to their prospect pool just so we can kind of see the value of it as we get close to it as well. All right. Mariners are close to getting Luis Castillo anyway. Pretty much everybody's getting in on this bandwagon now. Seems like it is indeed going to happen. So thank you guys for joining us. I got 10 of you guys with us. Breaking news, MLB trade. Luis Castillo goes to the Mariners from the Reds, possibly the top starting pitching option at the deadline outside of Shohei Ohtani. Just waiting for the particulars to kind of trickle in here. Apparently the Rangers were in on Castillo as well. A little bit surprising. I did not think they would be in on that at all. At least the Rangers beat reporters are saying so. You got to wonder how much of this is their own speculation versus how much they actually know when you get down to the beat reporter level. Still waiting for the return anyway. You got to imagine it's going to be some top prospects. Marte is their top prospect. He's an A-ball player. That would make sense for them if they were eyeing Volpe and Peraza from the Yankees organization. Marte would fit that bill as a shortstop. Catcher, they got Harry Ford. He's 19 years old. He was their first-round pick last year. They got another shortstop in their top 5, Edwin Arroyo. Still waiting for the particulars. While we wait for those particulars to come in, let's check some of these messages y'all have sent me about different trade packages you'd like to see. Whit Merrifield of the Kansas City Royals is another name that's been mentioned about. Apparently there's a Braves fan out there that would like to see him go there. He would fit that outfield hole. He wouldn't cost a whole lot. He's not having a great year. I still don't see the Royals really moving off of him, but maybe this is finally the year they do. They don't see any more positive value left in him. That would make some sense for them. But I still don't see them pulling the trigger on the deal. A Cardinals fan wants to get out of the Juan Soto sweepstakes and in on the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes. They want to trade Dylan Carlson, Tyler O'Neill, and Sosa. That's not enough. Sorry. I mean, as good as those players are at the top of that deal, the Angels are wanting pitching prospects back, and they're going to want a grab bag full of prospects back as well. That's just not enough to get it done. We'll skip the Luis Castillo one as we have him traded now, just waiting for the actual deal to be announced. Who the pieces are coming the other way. As you can imagine, the team is trying to notify their players first before having them see it on Twitter. But this is a big upgrade for that Mariners rotation that got Robbie Ray in the offseason and now gets their number 2 in Luis Castillo. That Mariners team is going to be frighteningly good over the next few years, especially with Julio Rodriguez. And if they're still in on the Shohei Ohtani talks, they might be one of the American League favorites going forward. Pretty much everybody saying the Mariners are in agreement with the Reds, but what's the deal, people? Anybody going to say the return? Okay, here's the deal we wanted to see. The deal for Luis Castillo is as follows. It's big. Marte, Strout, Arroyo, and Dylan Moore, 3 of the Mariners' top 5 prospects, according to MLB Pipeline. That's a massive return. I was expecting it to be massive, but that's big. Let's just look at their – wow. That's their number 1, their number 3, and their number 5 prospects. Sounds like they wanted shortstops and pitching anyway. Dylan Moore, of course, signed that big long-term deal with the Mariners a couple of years ago. I think it was like 8 years, $40 million, something like that. They bought some free agent years. Dylan Moore just hasn't played very well for them, but that was a big move for them, giving up 1, 3, and 5 in their organization. Okay, there's a correction on that. It's not Dylan Moore, it's Andrew Moore. Andrew Moore. Let's look at that Mariners prospect list again. Andrew Moore comes in at, he's not listed on their top 30 anyway. Let's flip over to Baseball America just to see what they have. Andrew Moore was ranked number 26 by Baseball America. This year has a 1.95 ERA, 58 strikeouts in 33 innings. Steal out of the 21 draft, 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Sounds like he's a relief pitcher. So Andrew Moore, kind of a relief pitcher, is the 4th prospect going. But looking at the top of the return for Luis Castillo, the deal goes number 1 prospect for the Mariners, Noel V. I'll call it Noel V. Marte is the shortstop, the top prospect for the Mariners. He's hitting .267 with a .456 OPS, or .456 slug, excuse me. 15 home runs, 12 stolen bases. He's 6'1". He is 21 years old, it looks like. Marte has the potential to be a power-hitting all-star shortstop if he cleans up his defense. Even if he moves to third base, he still projects as a middle-of-the-order cornerstone. That's fantastic. Aaron Judge just hit a grand slam. Can we please just give Aaron Judge the MVP already? He robbed a home run earlier today. He hit another monster home run, and now he just hit a grand slam. Can we just hand him the MVP trophy in the American League? I'm not a Yankee fan. I'm not even an Aaron Judge fan, but that's just fantastic. The second part of that deal was Edwin Arroyo. He's been moved up to number 2 on the Baseball America trade, or on the Baseball America prospect list. He's hitting .315 in the minors with a .513 slug. He's a little bit more power anyway in that bat. 13 homers, 21 stolen bases. In fact, he might be even better than Marte right now, at least. But he is a couple years younger, too. He's only 19. Arroyo's defense will buy him time to figure out his bat. Looks like that bat has certainly come around. We'll see how Loe Modesto does in 2022. Grades, 50 power, 55 speed, 65 fielding. So he's a very good switch hitting athlete, athleticism, and defense for could stay at shortstop, quick reads, fluid action, reliable hands, and plus arm strength. Give him a potential to be a plus defender at shortstop. So maybe this is your shortstop and third baseman of the future for the Cincinnati Reds. The third prospect in the deal was, where'd he go? Levi Strout. He was number 10 on Baseball America's prospect list. Projects as a solid, consistent number 4 starter who isn't flashy but gets the job done. Will start in AAA Tacoma. He is, let me make sure that this deal is correct. Yep, that is the correct deal. He's 6-6 on the year. He's not having a great year, though, a 5.28 ERA, 82 strikeouts, and 87 innings pitched. Sounds like he's had to deal with some shoulder surgery at some point in his career. Excuse me, he had Tommy John was the surgery he had. We'll see if he can kind of clean up those stats going forward. But that's a great trade for the Seattle Mariners. Robbie Ray is your number 1. Luis Castillo is now your number 2. And he's probably going to sign an extension if I had to bet. For that kind of return, you had to have some inclination about Luis Castillo signing an extension there to remain there after not just this year or next year, but going into free agency over the next couple seasons. Thank you guys for joining us live. We just saw probably the best starting pitcher on the market traded this trade deadline season anyway. For those of you wondering, Martin Perez, we're kind of watching the Rangers game as we go. But Martin Perez has lowered that ERA down to 2.51, still has not given up a hit in that game. Sounds like the Yankees are quickly circling to Frankie Montas. That move could be made tonight. I was planning on doing a long live stream with you guys on Saturday or on Sunday, expecting most of these deals to happen, but maybe we'll get a lot of them here tonight. Tim Anderson and La Russa just got thrown out against the A's. Yuck. Let me see where y'all are at in that game anyway. Hey, you're back within 2 at least. It's 5-3. It's in the top of the 8th, too. Yankees were able to score. Let me see how many runs were scored in that inning. Yankees scored 8 runs in the 8th inning. Yuck. Yeah, we need robo-umps. Right there with you, Zach. So, got a question for you. Do you think that was too much that the Mariners gave up for Castillo, or do you think that's about what you had expected? kind of what I was thinking. I was a little bit surprised that they doubled up on the one position. However, I think Marte is probably going to be a third baseman by the sounds of it. The Arroyo kid probably is the best piece in that deal. I expected they were going to get a shortstop, and they got two, at least for now. But like I said, I think Marte ends up moving to third. I thought they might get a little bit better pitching prospect out of it, though. It sounds like he's a 25-year-old kind of aging out prospect. I want to look at what game I'm watching. Well, right now I've got it on the Rangers and Angels. I was watching the game last night for Shohei Ohtani. I didn't get off work till late last night or the night before. That's why I didn't have a chance to do a live. But Davis Martin in, yeah. Sandoval is having a nice year, though, for the Angels. He's pitched almost as well as Martin Perez has this game so far. I just want to see more trades at this point. I'm having fun with it. Yeah, I do like how baseball teams have firework Fridays. Rangers do that. I think the Dodgers and Angels both did it. We watched that when they played the Angels earlier this year. That was kind of cool. I want to look at the top 100 and see where they rank real quick. Marte ranked as the number 18 prospect in the game, at least at the start of the year. Arroyo at number 93. Got to imagine those might have flip-flopped at this point. Arroyo is only 18 years old anyway. Good job, Reds. They got hosed in that deal for Jesse Winker earlier this year because they're eating the contract of Suarez. They made up for it with this one. Got to imagine they're going to hold on to Tyler Mahle now almost to the deadline just to really drive up his price. But with one less suitor, the Mariners, you're looking at maybe the Twins, Cardinals, Brewers, teams like that will be interested along with the Rangers. Welcome, David. Any possible Phillies moves? There's a lot of moves they could make. I think they're going to have to do something with that shortstop spot. Didi Gregorius has been terrible. The Red Sox have said that they're not trading Xander Bogaerts, but maybe the Phillies just push the emergency eject button and make something happen with Bogaerts. There's some other options that they could choose to upgrade as well. The back end of that starting rotation, the bullpen is always a need for them as well. Ooh, this is surprising. Remember how I said that the Rangers were in on the mix for Luis Castillo? But apparently, I thought that it was just beat reporters just talking, like they do. Ken Rosenthal apparently says that they were strongly in the mix for Luis Castillo. That's surprising. That's very surprising. Just because the way the Rangers have built their team, I thought maybe they'd cash in some of their chips since they drafted a couple of high-end starting pitchers. Maybe those starting pitchers that are at the top of their farm system that are having down years, maybe they were trying to offload them. Mariners got Castillo. Yeah, that's what we were just talking about, Prada. Thank you guys for joining us. Hit that subscribe and like button. The return for him anyway, we mentioned was Noelvi Marte, Levi Strout, Andrew Moore, and Edwin Arroyo. I think Arroyo is probably the best piece of that deal, having a great offensive year this year. And he was already a plus defender, apparently. Marte probably moves over to third, becomes a little bit more of a bat. Strout's having a little bit of a down year at AAA. Yeah, he hit his 40th, and then he hit that grand slam tonight as well. He's been fantastic. And as I was saying earlier, can we just give him the MVP already? Would that be wrong? Just to go ahead and end the debate, because honestly, there is no debate at this point. Rookie of the Year is easily going to Julio Rodriguez in my mind. You went to Bears training camp. Nice. Training camp getting underway. That's the one I'm kind of curious about their offense. I want to see their offense do much better. After losing Allen Robinson to the Rams, makes me wonder about where they're headed. Sounds like the Rangers, though, are here at the deadline trying to acquire some starting pitching. So maybe they do not deal Martin Perez. How many of you guys in the comments remember the deal for Aroldis Chapman when he went to the Chicago Cubs? What kind of deal that was? How many of you guys remember that? The Gleyber Torres, Billy McKinney deal. How many of you guys remember that one? I ask because I think there's a couple of other players who could be traded this deadline season that could have something similar happen to them where they end up back on the team that traded them this year. The Red Sox, of course, seem to want to rebuild their roster right now. Over the last 12 hours, it seems like they've kind of switched gears as an organization, that they're going to try to offload some salary in Martinez and attach the sweetener in Vasquez to do it. Maybe the Rangers could turn around and trade Martin Perez. The special connection he has with the Rangers organization after they invested so much time in him as a prospect and then having him circle back this year, maybe they have that or the connection with him to where if they trade him for a couple of months to another team, if he doesn't sign an extension there, maybe they circle back to him. So those teams that are out there looking to sell off rental pieces like Andrew Benintendi, etc., all is not lost. You may end up back with the player or somebody very similar to him in free agency. They were practicing Aaron Rodgers' play action rollout with former Packers offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. Yeah. Anytime you really argue balls and strikes, you're usually going to get some type of suspension. Thank you guys for the like. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the submissions we've had. Yuck. More bad baseball in the Rangers-Angels game. Nick Solak picked off a first anyway. Yuck. Really can't stand bad baseball. Thank you guys for joining us anyway. Luis Castillo has been traded by the Cincinnati Reds to not the Yankees, but the Seattle Mariners. The trade includes the number 1, 3, and 5 prospects according to MLB Pipeline anyway. They also acquired a relief pitcher in the deal as well, and Andrew Moore. According to the top 100 by MLB.com, Marte, the top prospect for the Mariners, was ranked at number 18 in all of baseball. Arroyo, in my opinion, the best prospect in the deal after the year he's having, was at number 93. Those rankings figure to change and fluctuate, so keep it with the Reds anyway, as they're going to have a very good shortstop and third baseman of the future there after trading away Suarez at the beginning of the season in that Jesse Winker deal to the Seattle Mariners. So you can call the Mariners the Reds of the North, if you will. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. We will be doing a lot of NFL stuff after the trade deadline. Still do a lot of the lives anyway, of every night anyway, of baseball as much as we can. Tomorrow we'll probably do a doubleheader starting around 6:15. Not sure which games. We'll probably check in on some of those. The games that we were going to look at was the Reds and Orioles. We'll probably scratch that one out now that Soto's been, or now that Castillo's been traded. Well, I think your White Sox are actually going to try to stick uh, around the periphery of the postseason talk anyway. So don't worry about them too much, Zach. I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way because I've mentioned it already, and I try to mention it pretty much every time. Martin Perez has a perfect game going right now. Dribbler here for the first out of the fifth. No offense in that Rangers and Angels game. Well, you're going to have some days where you lose to some of the worst teams in all of baseball. It's just the downside of playing 162 games. You're going to lose some days to those really bad teams. The trick is not to lose 3 out of 4 to them. If you lose 3 out of 4 to the A's, that's a bigger problem. If you lose 1 out of the 4 to the A's, that's okay. Martin Perez looks back to his old self now. Before the All-Star break, I would have told you Martin Perez is kind of pressing a little bit. Sounded like he had a lot on his mind, of course, as just before the All-Star break, he had just proposed to his girlfriend. Yes, she said yes, and was selected to the All-Star game for the first time. Seems like he is back to his old self. This could be a trade option out there for teams that are needing a starting pitcher. We should sweep the Royals. Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of grief on this one, mainly because you said the Royals were going to be 2 years away from winning. If they're 2 years away from winning, you can't be swept by a team struggling to make the playoffs like the White Sox. So one of the two is not true. Oh, you're saying the next year the Royals should heat up. I'm still not buying it, though. The Royals have 0 starting pitching. None. Nada. They're counting on a taped together starting pitcher in Zach Greinke. They got the best start of the year from Bubeck the other day against the Blue Jays anyway. Don't see it. Their offense has a couple of nice pieces, but not much else. And they're definitely not going to be investing in free agency. I don't see their path to success. Brad Keller. I remember looking at him a couple months ago, but I haven't checked in on him in a while. And there's the no-hitter gone. Adele gets a double into left. Well, can't say it's broadcaster's jinx. I do it every single time. That way it's not different for anybody. I mean, his ERA is like a 4 and change for Keller. Not really moving the needle. Looks like his longest out of the inning or longest outing of the year was 2 7-inning outings against the Tigers and A's. Doesn't really say a lot for his success. Teams that actually were in playoff contention, he wasn't able to get out of the 6th, wasn't able to get out of the 4th, wasn't able to get out of the 2nd. Sorry, I'm not buying it. Welcome in, Helen Yeller. Really appreciate you joining us. Worst hitter I've seen and worst pitchers I've seen over the years. Oh, that's a tough one. There's a lot of bad pitchers out there and a lot of bad hitters, but if we're talking like players who've played more than 1 year in the league, who actually were a regular pitcher or regular player, not just a one-hop stop in the majors. Worst hitter? Well, you're just doing recency bias with that one, Zach. I mean, Dallas Keuchel did win a Cy Young. But if I had to pick for hitter, would be this year's Joey Gallo. That might be among the worst hitters I've ever seen. Well, yeah, he got DFA'd. He got DFA'd twice. Look at Felix Hernandez. That 1 year he had like a 13 ERA. Dallas Keuchel's better than that. As far as worst pitcher, if any of y'all remember this, I'll be a little bit surprised. El Duque Hernandez, the former starting pitcher for the New York Yankees and New York Mets, he had 1 year where he was absolutely terrible. That might have been one of the worst starting pitching performances I've ever seen. Tim Wakefield, when he was with the Red Sox, either he was really good or you could absolutely see that ball like a beach ball because of how slow that ball would come in, and you would hit 3-4 home runs in a row. Patrick Corbin, that's again just because of recency bias. And he's still not the worst best pitcher in the league this year. Tim Wakefield was pretty bad at one point. Esteban Loaiza as well. There was points in his career where he was fantastic, and then, of course, the drug issues that we won't speak of. But anyway, there was a stretch of time where he couldn't get a strike over the plate. There's some minor leaguers that I've seen that were really good up until they literally had the yips. There was I'm trying to remember the guy's name, a minor league prospect for the Rangers. He was up and coming really good, and then he got injured with something. I think he got hit by a line drive, and he literally couldn't throw the ball to the catcher anymore. It's like he got scared. And I don't want to give the guy a hard time, but like getting hit by a line drive when you're a kid is a little scary, don't get me wrong. But that was one of the worst pitching performances I've seen. Like he would throw the ball towards home plate. He would miss home plate by about 10 to 12 feet when he was close. The Rangers shut him down for a long period of time. I think like 6 months, counseling and all that. They finally got him to at least play catch again. They finally got him to start throwing the ball again. He was still walking like 9 batters, and he was still walking like 9 batters every 3 innings. But at least he was able to start throwing strikes again. They at least got him back to being less in his head, but he was never the same pitcher ever again. Jabba Chamberlain at the end of his career, yeah, that was pretty bad as well. Gavin Sheets, okay. You were talking up Gavin Sheets a few days ago, Zach. I really appreciate your fandom, but sometimes you got to rein it in just a little bit. Just a little. Yeah. Got to remember when you're talking up his bat, you also got to remember the fielding. When you're talking about how bad his fielding is, talk up the bat. It's a package deal. Rangers are now in the 6th inning. Just checking in to see if there's any other news from the trade deadline. Sounds like the Reds are going to trade away a couple of other players as well, in addition to Tyler Mahle. Brandon Drury is going to generate a lot of interest because of his $950,000 salary, according to John Paul Morosi. Mahle, Drury, Solano, Pham are all generating interest ahead of the deadline on Tuesday. Pham could be moved. I see a lot of possibilities there. I don't see some of their other long-term pieces moving there as well. So the Reds, that could probably be it. Mahle, Drury, and Pham. I don't know about Solano. But in case you're missing it, Luis Castillo, the best starting pitcher on the market this trade deadline season outside of Shohei Ohtani, has been moved not to the Yankees, who are very hard after him, not to the Rangers, who surprisingly were interested in him, according to Ken Rosenthal and Evan Grant, but the Seattle Mariners. They traded away their 1, 3, and 5 prospects, according to MLB Pipeline. Noelvi Marte, Edwin Arroyo, Andrew Moore, and Levi Strout in the deal. Marte and Arroyo are the headliners in this deal. Hard hit ball in the Rangers game. Simeon gets aboard with a lead or with a 1-out double. Oh, it's going to go all the way down the wall. He's going to go for a triple. He's being sent home and inside the Parker. Will we see it? The throw home is there in time, but he's not able to dig it out. Marcus Simeon gets all the way around the bases. That's got to go as an error. That can't be an inside the park homer. That's just poor fielding by Joe Adell. Marcus Semien is laughing as he goes into the dugout. Can't really blame him. That's the Angels right there in a nutshell. Top prospect, Joe Adell, struggles with the bat. Finally having some little bit more success now. I think he's like 250 this year. Lets the ball get by him along the wall and fumbles the catch or fumbles the picking up the ball as well. Oh my. That's the LA Angels in a nutshell for you. Keystone Cops out there. The throw home, they should have nailed Semien. They should not have sent him there. Oh my. Yep, they're scoring that a double and a two-base error against the Angels. Yep. Semien didn't even really start hustling until he rounded second and about halfway to third. Then he really turned it up. Wow. That was kind of cool. There's been a lot of inside the park home runs over the past 3-4 weeks. Wow. But again, just as we were mentioning, the deal that sent Castillo to the Mariners, Marte, Arroyo, Strout, and Moore go the other way. Reds build their third base and second shortstop positions for the future. Not really sure if they did enough for that pitching rotation going forward, but they get somebody they like in Strout. Somebody probably ages out of that Mariners prospect system next year anyway. How do you be so positive from losing teams? I need some advice. Okay. So there are a lot of there's 30 teams in baseball? 30, 32, I can't remember. There's 30 teams in baseball. There's not every year you're going to have a World Series champion from your favorite team. So you have to find other ways to think successfully. That's why they celebrate division championships and that kind of thing. Well, there's reason why there's a rivalry between the Yankees and Red Sox or Yankees and Blue Jays, that kind of thing. Not every year is going to be a division winning year. You have to find reasons to root for them. Each team gets an all-star. That's a major league mandate. Every team has to have an all-star. Looks like the deal has officially been announced now. Mariners announcing it on Twitter. The acquisition of Luis Castillo. They already have him in the Mariners uniform. In fact, it's actually the same picture. I think they photoshopped the Mariners jersey on him that we used as the background for our short video. Well, that's kind of where you need to think about, Zach. If they have the potential to be good but aren't, but are they playing up to expectation? Are they playing up to their career average yet? Are they playing below their career average yet? And I'd say they're playing well below their career average. That's the reason why you shouldn't be worrying about your White Sox at all. Your pitching staff is going to come around. Lance Lynn is better than he's been so far this year. He had a good start the other day, went for naught because the bullpen couldn't hold on to it. Lucas Giolito is a much better starter than he's been this year. Bullpen, of course, has had its issues at times. The starting lineup, anyway, with Robert and Jimenez have not been able to be in the lineup consistently. Once they're in the lineup with greater consistency, their batting average should go up. The lineup as a whole looks better. That defensive outfield that you have looks terrible right now without Robert out there. Jimenez, of course, is coming off of injury. He doesn't look great as a defender in left field anyway, but the healthier and healthier he gets, the better the defense should be. Every team's going to lose to a team 28 games back. I'm sorry, you're not going to sweep them every single time. There's not an 0 and 162 team out there. Somebody has to lose every single night, and sometimes it's going to be the better team. It's baseball. If we knew the final going in, who should win, etc., why would we watch the game? No, it's not like the Chiefs losing to the Jets. In football, that's a little bit different. And even then, Every now and again, you're going to have an off game. The defense of the Jets got a lot better this offseason. Sauce Gardner, etc. The Chiefs' offense got a lot worse. They're going to need time to adapt that offense without Tyreek Hill. The Jets have had their offense together pretty much all off season. Another year under the belt for Zach Wilson. Maybe on a fluke game, the Jets do indeed beat the Chiefs. Should they? No, but that's what you get. It's called sports. Trey Turner is trending for some reason. Let me see why. Oh, they're just linking him with Juan Soto. Never mind. The Reds have officially announced the deal. They're saying Arroyo is rated as the number 48 best prospect in baseball. He was the number 48 overall pick, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Get out of here with that crap. Sorry, guys. Somebody decided to have a little bit of fun in our chat today. Whoever you are, bye. See you later. Moore might be the fastest of the big leagues out of that group that the Reds just got. Looks like a dynamic bullpen arm they got now. Good on them for securing that late inning role because they're going to have a lot of young starters. They're going to need a good bullpen. We saw that the according to Ken Rosenthal, they were in on Luis Castillo. I'm curious what other names the Rangers actually have their name in on. The more I see Adolis Garcia struggle with strikeouts, et cetera, the more I think they actually are in on a player like Juan Soto. They were ranked, I believe, number 4 in Joel Sherman's list of teams that could be in the hunt for Juan Soto. Not that I consider them in that class, but you can kind of see the reasons why. They had a strong draft. They got a lot of pitching prospects at the top. The question would be if you're willing to move off of Josh Young. I think if you move off Josh Young, trade out some of your aging pitcher or top end pitchers in the minors anyway that are about to age out, along with some other prospects that could get the deal done. Probably have to include some major league talent as well. Sam Huff possibly as a first base catcher option. Pair him with Ruiz going forward. Might be a good stack for them. That's an interesting stat. Rangers this year have a .619 slugging percentage on versus pitchers that are over the 80 pitch mark. That's the highest in baseball. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a hard hit ball. That one will go into the corner. Let's see how Odell does this one. Looks like he handles this one significantly better. They sent Heim, and again wow. I did not think Heim would be able to get there safely, but scores from first. What is up with the Angels? I know they're bad, but jeez. That should have been second and third there, not another run on the board. Adele just waited too long to get in the corner, like he was scared to go get the ball. after having it get past him last time. Yuck. #20th double of the year for Adolis Garcia. Watching the Rangers game as we get the deadline news coming in. Looks like the market's kind of settling down, at least for now. Trying to see what the trade there was. Luis Castillo going for that big of a trade. I thought it would include at least one high-end top prospect, but they get 2 top 50 prospects, a good bullpen piece, and a 25-year-old prospect as a starting pitcher for Luis Castillo. I'm curious to see what the rest of the market's going to say. Frankie Montas probably gets a top prospect now, and then maybe a couple of middling prospects. The Yankees in the past have tried to pawn off their lower-end prospects. I don't think they're going to be able to going forward if they want to go for these type players. I do think the Yankees are going to have to make a trade. They're going to have to do something for that starting staff, whether it's Marte, whether it's wow. That was an interesting play there as well. Another Q shot. First and third now. I think the Yankees are going to have to make a trade for either Marte, or not Marte, but for Montas, or maybe a guy like Shohei. He would fit that New York market very well. I don't think a trade for a Noah Syndergaard really moves the needle for them. Sandoval removed for the Angels here in the top of the 6th. Let's get back to some of y'all's submissions anyway that y'all have sent in. Sox lost. Sorry about that, Zach. You'll get him tomorrow. In the wake of all the trades anyway, or the trade of the Castillo going to the Mariners, a whole bunch of Yankee fans taking to Twitter. Looks like they're now willing to give up Peraza for a guy like Montas. Just yesterday, they weren't willing to do it for Luis Castillo, who's a better starter and has another year of control, I believe. And now they're willing to give up Peraza just to get Montas. Funny how things change after you lose out on your top option. You'll probably win 3 out of those next 4 games. Don't worry too much. There's a site out there called baseballtradevalues.com anyway that evaluates the trade. Looking at their trade calculator anyway, they project that the Castillo had about 41.2 in trade value. In the deal that they got, they're saying they got about 67.1. That's a lot of future value that the Mariners gave up for Luis Castillo. Got to wonder if they actually gave up too much. That's kind of what I was wondering as well, at least in this day and age of prospect protection that teams kind of employ right now. Cubs and Giants, the best game right now. Let me flip over for it. Padres 6-1 over the Twins. Alex Cobb on the mound for the Giants. Low scoring. Houston 11-1 over Seattle. Ouch. Let me look at this. Was in Houston. Who started for the Mariners today? Looks like Robbie Ray did and did not get out of it very well. Welcome back, Gwen. You think Shohei Ohtani will be traded by the deadline? No, I don't think he will. Well, I take that back. With as much talk as gone on about it, I would say he's probably going to be dealt, mainly because of how much has gotten out because around the trade. If there wasn't so much rumors and stuff around him, I don't think he would be traded yet. I think they would wait till the offseason, but then you lose more service time. You lose the ability to have him for another pennant chase. So I think you get the most for him by trading him now. But I think they're waiting for the Juan Soto trade to move and then have all those suitors circle back to Shohei. Because it sounds like Soto is going to be moved before the deadline as well. A week ago, I would have said neither one gets moved before the deadline. 5 days ago, I would have said Ohtani. Now, after the last couple of days, I'm starting to believe Soto's going to move. Mariners really selling out, though, for this trade to get Castillo. Another Angels fan trying to trade away Shohei Ohtani was sent in. It looks like they were sending Ohtani and Syndergaard both to the Cardinals, okay, for Gorman and a grab bag full of other prospects. Yeah, that's not getting it done either. Orioles fan was trying to get Sandy Alcantara. That's never going to happen. Got to remember to be realistic with these trade requests. Some of them are a little bit more likely than others. He's a very good utility guy, but he's going to get a lot of at-bats, though, especially with injuries. I understand you don't like his bat, but, I mean, the more playing time he gets, the better that bat performs. We saw that last year. That's a little dramatic. Thanks. Yay. Martin Perez at 54 pitches in the bottom of the sixth. He's been dominant. Well, I'll put it this way. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan. I do enjoy the Packers, except for Aaron Rodgers. When Favre was there, and Reggie White and all them guys, Antonio Freeman, Dorsey Levens, Chimura, Bubba Franks, Donald Driver, Greg Jennings. Those were the the Packers teams I could really root for. Nowadays, the only time I ever root for the Packers is when Aaron Rodgers is on the bench, which is not often, or when they play somebody I can't stand even more, which is right now. I don't think there's another team I can't stand more, and that's just because of how much I don't like Aaron Rodgers. We'll do some training camp videos, go over every single team, the offseason acquisitions they made, the holes they still have. Cowboys, for instance, got rid of a whole bunch of their starters anyway. Lyle Collins, Amari Cooper, Connor Williams, Cedric Wilson. Apparently, news out of the Cowboys is that they're looking at linebacker Anthony Barr to come in. Got to think the Edwards connection there makes sense. Defensive assistant for the Dallas Cowboys is, I think his name is Gus Edwards. No, that's the running back. What's his name? Longtime defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. Now is a part of the Cowboys coaching staff. Anyway, but that's kind of the connection you see there. Maybe add to that pass rushing mix. They have added a number of different flyer type pieces at the edge, but maybe now they add Anthony Barr. Wow. I'm right there with you, Martine. That's all the way inside the strike zone, and the umpire just stares at him. That wasn't even close. That was just a strike. That one misses, and yeah. I feel you, Martine. He was one of my favorite Rangers pitchers for years. Back when he was first called up, everybody was always like, oh, he's Nolan's boy. No, he wasn't. He was just the best Rangers prospect they ever had as a pitcher in a while. The only one they were ever able to get to the majors. I'm watching the Rangers still. I'm flipping over between the broadcast of the Giants one as well on the computer. Checking in on the Padres game as well. They're now up 7-1 on the Twins. Joe Ryan pitching for the Twins today. That's a team that needs a starting pitcher, the Twins. They're going to probably win the Central. They need some starting pitching. Thank you guys for joining us. If you have just joined us anyway, the big trade of the day, Luis Castillo goes to the Mariners for their 1-3-5 prospects in their system, as well as a number 26 bullpen option and more. Mariners are absolutely getting hammered today by the Astros, so they see the need for starting pitching. Having him and Robbie Ray at the top of that rotation really will help their chances to make the postseason. I still think they're going to need to make some other moves in the future, but we'll see what ends up happening there. It just went down. If you guys have followed my YouTube channel, I posted a couple of shorts anyway about the Donovan Mitchell trade talks anyway. It seems like those talks have died out almost entirely between the Knicks and Jazz. Seems like they're going to go into the season with Donovan Mitchell, or at least the preseason. Martin Perez finding himself in a little bit of trouble now after the robo-umps not being available or killing him. You got MLB TV? When did you get it? Did you get it just so you could join and watch these games with us? Appreciate you, Zach. That's pretty much what I did when I decided to do these live streams. Ohtani is up versus Martin Perez. Maybe his last chance in an Angels uniform to really do some damage. Lefty on lefty here. Swing and miss. That ball is a good 3-4 inches off the plate, and Ohtani still swung at it and missed it. I am. I'm trying to get to 400 by the end of the week. We're almost there. Got about a day and a half or so to get there. Not being able to do lives the last couple of days really killed a little bit of that momentum, though. Had to work a couple of open to closes and just had zero energy to do anything because I got home so late. So I apologize for not getting on sooner. My apologies. But the sooner I can get up into that monetization, maybe I can do this a lot more frequently and not have to worry about it. Jorge Alfaro just hit a home run against the Minnesota Twins. It's now 10-1. Ouch. Can they get Joe Ryan out of there yet? No. Worst baseball stadium that I've ever been to, or the one that I've ever seen? The worst one I've ever seen is the Oakland Coliseum. That's the worst, and it's not close. Raw sewage literally comes up regularly at different points during the season, and they do nothing about it. They literally just cordon it off and say, keep it moving, and it smells like literal crap because it's literal sewage coming up out of the ground and into the stadium. It's disgusting, and they wonder why they have very low attendance, why they can't really invest in the team. That's your biggest reason. What's the Oakland A's? They're terrible. But what's the worst stadium I've ever been to? Hmm. This is going to be a surprise to some, but maybe it's just because of the experience I had there. Texas Stadium for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, it wasn't a bad stadium, but it wasn't nearly what everybody said it was. It was really cool the way it was laid out, where it was in the city. You could walk across the highway. You could see it coming. It was kind of up on a pedestal. You'd rise up to it. It was kind of cool. Think of like the arena in Space Jam. The outside looks cooler than the inside. You get inside, the building was older. It needed to be renovated, and so that's why Jerry World came into being. But towards the end, there was a tiny little TV up in the corner where they had ESPN playing. When I went to the game, it was a Sunday night football game in Christmas of 1997, I want to say, against the Washington Redskins. December 27th, I think, was the day. Anyway, but they played the Redskins that day, and the entire game was played on the other side of the field. So I could never watch the entire game at all. I was seated in the end zone, so I never got to see any of the action. The only thing I actually got to see was a kickoff coming towards me, and I think I only got that twice. It was horrible. Fly out there by Ohtani. Gets the second out of the inning. I mean, Ohtani's one guy. He has zero protection in this lineup. Hopefully you can watch the Yankees on the plane tomorrow. That's right, you're going on your cruise. Hope you enjoy your cruise. Have a good time. Hmm. Watching the Rangers broadcast, yeah. Rengifo was dynamic last night. We'll see if he can do anything here. Misses outside, 1-0. Looks like the Twins are indeed finally making a pitching change. Come on, Jonah Heim, you're better than that. Stop getting cute. Hmm. If you walk him, there's really no one else in the lineup to worry about. Rengifo's probably their best player. The Rangers and Angels, watching Martin Perez's possible final start anyway. I'm not worried if they walk him. Ward is on deck. He's probably their third best hitter in their lineup today. But he's fallen off over the past few weeks. He's on a 1-year, $4 million deal. There's a lot of momentum in Texas as far as what's coming up the pipeline and their ability to make some big additions this offseason as well. Everybody thought their $500 million shopping spree this summer or this winter was great. They're going to spend probably not $500 million, but close to it this offseason as well. Oh, come on. Get out of here, whoever you are. There we go. Perez for Garcia, Sheets, and a first rounder. Well, if you could trade picks, that might be interesting. But the first rounder is not going to be an impactful player, at least at the top of the draft. So I don't think that would get it done. That one flared out there, and that gets down. A run will score, but they'll keep the runner at first and second anyway, so they keep the lead. Nice piece of hitting by Rengifo. I wouldn't take Sheets. The defense would be the worry for me with Sheets. The Rangers are going to add somebody at a premium position. My dark horse candidate for them to go after is Trey Turner. And yes, I know they have too many DH possibilities already on this team. And they got a couple in the minors as well coming that could be DH options as well. But Trey Turner's my sneaky addition that the Rangers might make this offseason. They already have that LA connection. Yeah, the Mariners are going to make the playoffs. They're getting drubbed today, but they'll make it. I think that trade pretty much solidifies at least a wild card spot for them. I think DePoto basically was told by management, you're making the playoffs this year or else. Brett Martin loosening for the Rangers. Kind of surprised they're not going with a righty. They're saying a balk on Martin Perez. This inning, of course, got really under a lot of issues with the robo-umps anyway. When that pitch to who was the first batter of the inning? I can't remember. That got on. Marsh. It was Marsh who got aboard. It was a strike 3 call that wasn't called, and then Perez lost him on a walk, and then Fletcher reached. They retired Ohtani, and then we just saw the base hit by Rengifo. Not too worried about Perez. Once he gets out of this inning, it'll be forgotten. That's the end of the inning right there. Taylor Ward flies out to Hernandez in left. Nice way to get around that adversity there by Perez. He pitched in Boston the last couple of years as well. So you got to think there's a lot of teams out there that take that experience pitching in the AL East. Joel Sherman finally tweets out the Yankees side of the Castillo talk, or of the Luis Castillo talks. The Yankees were unwilling to include Anthony Volpe. They were, however, trying to build a deal around Oswald Peraza. That deal was nowhere close to what the Mariners were willing to give up. As you saw, the deal that they gave up was the 1, 3, and 5, according to MLB Pipeline. Sounds like the Rangers might be looking at left field options from their minor leagues next week if they're unable to get a guy like Juan Soto, which I don't expect them to do. You guys send us your trades. What do you think is going to happen? Where do you think the next move is going to go? I'm just going to check in on some of the other messages I've been sent. No other ones there. Let's check out the trade values, see what other people are posting. Looks like some Dodger fans want Pablo Lopez. Apparently a Marlins fan is trying to trade Pablo Lopez away. You're going to pick up a Mariners jersey? Cool. Hey, maybe somebody will think he has value now. Count me in the column of people who don't think Patrick Wisdom has any value. Sorry, I just don't. I think he has empty stats all the way. Adele, oh my gosh. Can we get Joe Adele out of left field for the Angels, please? Oh my gosh. This might be the worst left fielder in baseball with this game that he's playing today. I mean, people talk about Schwarber in left, how his defensive liabilities out there. Eloy Jimenez isn't exactly great out there, but we've seen him misjudge a ball against the wall. We saw him not play a ball against the wall after he let one get past him, and now this one falls in front of him, and Joe Smith reaches on what should have been an easy out. Of course, the third baseman should have been out there anyway, just in case. He couldn't get there in time, but still. I'm going to try to stream all of them. I'm going to try to do some of the lower-end teams during the preseason. Teams that have quarterback battles, rookie quarterbacks, that kind of thing, because that's the teams that will actually have interesting preseason games. And then during the season, we'll try to catch some of the game of the week type plays. Going to try to get the Sunday ticket. Still not sure where exactly I'm going to get it from because the NFL hasn't been clear about where it's going to be available. I think it's just through DirecTV at least this year, but we'll see. Raiders and Jaguars August 4th. Maybe. I'm trying to remember when the Hall of Fame game is. Is that the Hall of Fame game? Then yeah, we'll do that one. That's going to be, what, a Thursday? Can't wait for Thursday football again. Thursday's my late day at work, but Thursday night football usually starts, what, 7:30 during the season? I might be able to make it home in time, just in time as I come squealing into the driveway in time to get on there. I want to say during the season they start at like 7:30. Cole Calhoun up for the Rangers. He's another name I'd expect to be on the watch for a trade this as we get close to the deadline. Kind of that fourth outfielder type, can play right or left. Good bench bat, doesn't need a lot of playing time to be effective. and he's been impacted the most by the shift this year. He's also been impacted the most by poor strike calls by home plate umpires. In case you're wondering, robo-umps have been a conversation piece for me all year round. He's been impacted the most by umpires calling balls strikes. Misses that one there. Now, I'm not saying Cole Calhoun's the best hitter in all of baseball, but I'm saying he deserves better than he's got. Where is Gallo going to sign? If I had to guess, I think he's probably going to get designated for assignment by the Yankees if he hasn't already, or if he hasn't been by the deadline anyway. And then he's probably going to end up either back in Texas, maybe signs on with the Padres if he wants to be in playoff contention, or maybe he goes to a team with outfield at-bats available like the Reds or the Pirates or something like that. Brian Reynolds of the Pirates is a name to watch around the trade deadline right now. A lot of teams looking for versatility, contact hitters in the outfield. Looks like we might be seeing a slight shift in the paradigm right now for what's going to command the dollar in free agency. Contact hitter seems like the player, the name of the game right now anyway. Nice play there by the Angels. Gunning down Smith at third. College football, I probably won't do much college football. Once the baseball season ends, probably be doing a lot of basketball and hockey. I don't really enjoy college football just because it's amateurs. I don't enjoy watching amateurs make mistakes. As fun as it is, as the changes happen in a game because one team makes a mistake and then another team makes a mistake. One team has an all-pro wide receiver. The other team has nobody at cornerback. I don't find that enjoyable. Oh yeah, I'll be doing pretty much NFL stuff pretty much every day, and when at least until probably mid-October, and then I'll probably do a lot of basketball preseason, especially with trades probably going to happen this preseason. I expect this NBA season to be full of trades, unlike the last couple. There wasn't a lot of movement this offseason. There's only a little bit of movement with Gobert. You got Kevin Durant's move expected. Yeah, I remember you're a Preds fan. Thanks for joining us, Gravy. Appreciate it. If you haven't hit that subscribe button or like, please do so. Trying to reach 400 subs by the end of the week. So let's see if we can get there. Marcus Semien ahead 3-0 now. It's a hard hit ball, but right to short. And that's the end of the inning. John Leonard signed a one-year deal with the Preds. Well, there was some hockey news today that I was very sad about. My favorite player on the Dallas Stars was John Klingberg. He signed with the Anaheim Ducks today. One-year deal. The Dallas Stars did not have any cap space available. I still haven't even seen the terms yet on that deal. Kind of curious about it. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. One-year deal, $7 million. Yeah, I saw the Kings sign Matthew Dellavedova. He has some connections to that coaching staff there, Mike Brown, etc. from his time with Cleveland. But the Anaheim Ducks signed a 1-year deal worth $7 million to John Klingberg. His offseason did not go according to plan. Kind of hoping he signs with Dallas next offseason after they have some, or if they have some more salary cap space, move some pieces around. I think they're going to miss his offensive firepower back there, but they're really going to have to see if Heiskanen can handle the offensive side. NHL is exciting. We'll be covering it a lot more than a lot of the other networks do. But we'll be putting out some more videos, long format videos after the trade deadline, especially with the training camps about to get underway. Cover each team for you. Oh, I know you are. Perez is out here for the 7th, falls behind 2-0 now to Joe Adell. Would have been 3-0, but Adell chases that one, and it's 2-1. He had a double back in the 5th. Looks like Woodward is chatting things over with Mathis. This might be the last hitter here. Switching to YouTube TV. The only reason I don't do YouTube TV is because they don't have Bally Sports. That, and I don't like their format for the way things look, like in their TV guide. I just don't like the way it works. So kind of do your research on how the format works before you do it. Make sure you're going to enjoy that. Wow. I guess 3 of you just liked it. Really appreciate it. Thank you. 2-2 now to Adell, fighting back as Perez. The pitch by Perez. That was a nice pitch just beneath the zone, though. 3-2. That might be it for Perez, though. We'll see. A little upset again with that strike call. That was a little low, though. See if he can overcome it again. Yeah, I got DirecTV Stream, but I'll probably be switching over to actual DirecTV. I just don't like that I have to stream it. The connection issues, etc. But that's of course on the internet company. But I'll probably end up stacking AT&T with DirecTV. We'll see. I just don't want to lose Bally Sports. That's why I'm basically staying in DirecTV. Oh, you get a fair amount of channels for that price, though. YouTube TV, you get like 50, 60, 70 channels. With DirecTV, you get like, I want to say like 120 on their base package. With the $90 package, you get like 200 channels. Well, I don't watch that many sports channels. I watch MLB Network, NBA, NFL, NHL, ESPN, those kinds of things. Yeah, but it's only like $7. I was doing a little bit of the research on it. As much as I'm paying for streaming and the loss of Bally Sports, no. I missed out on watching Rangers and Stars and Mavericks games for far too long because of the fights Dish Network had. Because I love Dish Network, the way their setup is, it works great. I just hate that they were always fighting with Fox, and then they were fighting with Bally, and then they said, "Oh yeah, we're constantly working to resolve it." 3 years later, and they still haven't resolved Bally Sports. My rear, they're trying to resolve that. That's why Bally Sports is starting it up their own sports network streaming service type of thing. That's why the NFL is going that direction as well. It's because these media companies are not giving them a fair shake. They're trying to pay for their big contracts that they sign with these sports. Nice strikeout there by Perez. And that'll be it for Perez. Gets the strikeout. Looks like it'll be it for Perez. Woodward goes all the way out to the mound to talk to him. We'll see. Nope, they're going to leave him in. What games am I doing tomorrow? Tomorrow is my early day off anyway. We close a little earlier at work, so that'll be nice. I'll still probably be getting home around 6 tomorrow. So I might do that A's White Sox game. I want to see how the A's do. I wonder who's starting tomorrow for the A's. Let me see what's going on there. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. The one thing I love about that game day feature on MLB.com, you can actually look ahead to tomorrow's starters. Cueto starting for the Sox. If the White Sox decide to sell, he might be a piece that's traded away. It's Cueto versus Blackburn, the all-star for the Oakland A's. A little worrisome there if you're a White Sox fan. Little tapper to the mound. Perez flips on to first. 2 away. You'll get the Mariners broadcast at least. I can never watch NFL on my team play because I can't afford NFL ticket to watch. Had YouTube TV. I'm not a fan. Doesn't have certain networks. I like my older sister. Has it, likes it. Okay. Perez almost through the 7th here. Got to think the Rangers would love to get him through 7. Swing and a miss. Out in front is Gosselin. Josh Young, Rangers prospect, hit a home run today. He is coming back from labrum surgery. He was 1 for 3 as a DH last night, 1 for 3 as a DH today. Yeah, the one thing YouTube doesn't have, though, is Bally. They don't have Bally Sports, though, down here. Bally Sports is only on DirecTV and cable. That's it. That's why I don't really have much option aside from DirecTV Stream, or cable. And trust me, I was actually thinking about cable because that's how much I didn't enjoy DirecTV. I'll look it up again, but last time I looked, they still didn't have it. Don't miss your favorite teams on the action. Valley Sports is available in. Okay, let's change my zip code. Okay, Zach, what's your zip code up there? Actually, hold on. Let me search mine first. Yep, the only options down here for Valley Sports are DTV Stream, DirecTV, and Suddenly. That's it. DirecTV or cable. Those are the only two options. Perez 2-2 now to Gosselin. This will be the 100th pitch of the night. 6-0-0-0-4. Off speed. Fouls it off. Okay. Come on, person. There, let's try that. I got it already. They pop up. They change their IP or whatever every single time, so it's not the same person every single time. You can try to hide them, you can report them, but it only if you you can put them in timeout. Timeout only keeps them away for a little while. Nothing there. Three and two. We'll do it again. That one misses below the zone. Oh, they called the strike. Oh my goodness. What is this home plate umpire doing? Angels have a right to gripe about that one. That was well beneath the zone, and now you're going to get a conversation with Phil Nevin. Wow. Might see some fireworks here between innings. That pitch looked to be beneath the zone. I mean, he owed him one, I guess, for missing that obvious strike call earlier tonight. But dang, that was a gift if I've ever seen one. That was probably the worst miss of the game. I agree. Does your zip code work? Not with the one I was just trying. I'm going to try a different one, though. All right. Yeah, I saw that one. Marquee is not on YouTube TV, at least. It's not on, at least from what I saw, anyway. I'm looking for, yeah, it looks like you get NBC Sports Chicago. Down here, I'm stuck with Bally. AT&T Sportsnet, you get the Astros games down here at least. But again, you have to be direct person. That's funny. Shield your eyes if you're if you have children that are Rangers fans. Rangers reporter saying shield your children's eyes because of how bad the Rangers left fielders have been this year. All right, let's see if we saw any fireworks between innings. Doesn't look like we had an ejection, though. Good on the Angels. That's the one thing I can't stand about umpires or managers or players. Arguing ball strikes is never going to change anything, ever. You're never going to be like, you know what? I was wrong about that one. Let me switch that up. That's now a strike. Oh, nope, it was now a ball. Top of the eighth now. Okay, we might actually get an ejection here. Never mind. The Angels bench boss, Phil Nevin, is hollering expletives left and right to the home plate umpire. Tavares lifts this one out to left. Adele makes the catch. Yeah, jet lag is real. Been on my fair share of flights over the years. I always like to get in there early, get to the hotel, sit down for an hour or two, and then go out. I don't like to just go and do stuff the second I land. Where's Joe Madden going to go? If I had to guess, if Philadelphia sputters down the stretch, maybe Philadelphia. That'd make a lot of sense for Dombrowski. But I don't know if he necessarily fits in with that Dombrowski culture. Madden likes to have his own fun with the team. Maybe he's a Tony La Russa replacement next year. That might make a little bit more sense. I don't think La Russa is going to be around after this year, no matter which way the season goes for the White Sox, even if they win the World Series or they don't make the playoffs. La Russa will be gone. Don't worry. I think Joe Madden would be a fit there. Everybody wants these young up and coming coaches until that young up and coming coach doesn't pan out. So they went the experienced veteran route with Tony La Russa, but I think they chose the wrong veteran. Cats. Oh, that pitch looked like it hit him. Or did it not? I don't know. Nope, I guess they say it didn't. Somehow got out of the way of that one. The Rangers' record right now, I don't remember. Let me check. I know they're below 500 again. They've been trying to get back to 500 since the end of June, I think, or end of May, somewhere in there. But their record right now looks like the report out right now from John Paul Morosi. While a trade for Shohei Ohtani is viewed as unlikely, the Dodgers have reached out to the Angels repeatedly and inquired about him. Seems like he might be the big player that the Dodgers try to go after. As I told y'all on the live the other night, I figured he might be the better piece for them instead of a Juan Soto if they went that big on the market again. Seems like that might be their big addition, especially if the Padres get Juan Soto. But the Rangers record. Swinging and a miss yet again by Adolis Garcia. What a shock. Sorry, I'm not a big fan of where he's at right now. They're 10 games under 500. They've really fallen off because of their games against the Seattle Mariners. They were swept by Seattle right before the All-Star break. Ooh, looks like they're going to let Matt Moore come out here. Thought they might let him sit on it, or sit on his save that he got last night. Maybe they're trying to drive up more interest and show how good he is. Five games up on Oakland in the division. Washington, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Chicago. The one thing the Rangers have done really well over the past couple of years is when they realize they're not in it, which they haven't been, they've found a way to lose those close games. This year, they're like 5-23 in one-run games. Tells you there's a lot of room there, or a lot of meat on the bone, a lot of room for improvement next year, and they've been much better this year. But maybe they finish at about 70, 75 wins this year. Next year, if they get another piece, especially if they get a starting pitcher, you got to think they probably get over that 80 win mark and really start contending next year. This year, though, I think that the chances for the postseason have officially passed them by. Angels will have Marsh, Fletcher, and Ohtani. Maybe they want to show Matt Moore against top hitters on the market. Show him against the lefty and Ohtani. Makes sense. Strike one here by Matt Moore. He's got a 1.7 ERA. He's been fantastic. Rangers beat reporter is basically saying, if the Angels are serious and they're willing to talk Shohei Ohtani, Daniels, Chris Young, and the entire front office are physically there in Anaheim this weekend. And he's saying if he would make a pest out of himself to Perry Manaison, I think he's the GM anyway, of the Angels. This weekend, if I were them, assign someone to play one-on-one. Never going to happen, but man, what a deal it would be. Most innings pitched in Rangers history without allowing a home run. Matt Moore up to 45 2/3, now third in Rangers history. That's fantastic. Run prevention, avoiding those home run balls. Got to think of those tough left-handed hitters. Keep that in mind.